China's manufacturing miracle stands as one of the most transformative economic chapters in modern history. In the span of a few decades, China built an industrial machine of unprecedented size, earning the title of World's Factory and overtaking the United States as the largest manufacturer by 2010. By 2019, China contributed nearly 29% of global manufacturing output, while the US stood at roughly 17%. Through massive infrastructure spending, abundant low-cost labor, strategic special economic zones, and deep integration with global supply chains, China scaled production on a level the world had never seen. The outcome was not merely dominance in exports. It reshaped society by lifting hundreds of millions out of poverty and turning China into a global economic powerhouse. That success has become the benchmark for every developing nation, including India, which now faces the question, is there a parallel path to national transformation in the 21st century? One not through factories, but through services. India believes the answer might be yes. While China used manufacturing to climb to the world's second-largest economy, India has already become a services-driven country. Services today account for more than half of India's GDP, while manufacturing contributes less than 1/5. The emerging thesis is that just as China built scale in low-cost manufacturing for the world, India could build massive, low-cost, high-volume services for the world. In other words, India's factories would be office parks, digital platforms, IT corridors, and global capability centers. The rise of technology, remote work, and digitized business operations makes this idea more plausible than it would have been 20 years ago. If the 20th century rewarded those who could scale assembly lines, the 21st century may reward those who can scale coders, analysts, designers, compliance experts, and digital service workers. On paper, India has strong advantages, beginning with its people. India is a uniquely young country in an aging world, with the largest working-age population on the planet. By 2030, India will have the world's biggest workforce. And unlike China, whose demographics are now shrinking, India's labor force is expanding. The country produces enormous numbers of graduates, including over 1 million engineers annually, and English proficiency remains a strategic advantage in global service delivery. These factors helped India build its first big success story, its IT services industry. Companies like Infosys, TCS, and Wipro became trusted technology partners to leading global corporations, pioneering the outsourcing wave. What began with basic software and back-office tasks has matured into something more sophisticated, global capability centers. These centers now run advanced functions for multinational companies, from cybersecurity and cloud management to financial modeling and R&D processes. India hosts more of these centers than any other nation, and the ecosystem is expanding quickly, on track to approach 2,200 centers within a few years. This creates a credible platform for scale. A second key strength is India's unique digital public infrastructure. While China built ports and factories, India built Aadhaar, UPI, DigiLocker, and a payments system that moves billions of transactions at near zero cost. This India stack has reduced friction, scaled digital services, and is now even being exported to other countries. India is no longer just exporting talent. It is exporting digital architecture, creating a strong foundation for global leadership in select service sectors.
But there are also limits to this vision. China's manufacturing dominance succeeded in part because it created enormous employment for low and mid-skilled workers. India's services sector, by contrast, is talent-intensive and heavily urbanized. It employs barely one-third of the workforce, concentrated in a few major cities, while hundreds of millions in rural or semi-skilled labor pools remain excluded. If India's services boom cannot absorb large numbers of workers, it will not replicate the broad societal impact of China's manufacturing revolution. There are also structural pressures from abroad. Automation and artificial intelligence are already reducing demand for basic outsourcing tasks, eroding the entry-level work that helped India's IT sector scale in the 2000s. Meanwhile, services face higher global barriers than goods. While manufacturing benefited from decades of trade liberalization, services still run into visa caps, data regulations, and professional restrictions that limit cross-border scalability. India also suffers from a gap that China never had: the disconnect between its booming services sector and a slow-growing industrial base. China's factories drove demand for logistics, finance, shipping, and business services, creating a reinforcing cycle. India's services growth has not sparked corresponding gains in manufacturing, which means the economy runs on two separate tracks that rarely power each other. Closing this gap is essential if India wants its services model to generate the kind of broad economic lift that manufacturing delivered for China. Even with these constraints, India has a realistic path to become a global services giant, just in a different way than China became a manufacturing giant. India will succeed by targeting high-growth niches where cost, language, and digital skill matter more than physical infrastructure. These include IT, financial compliance, legal processing, cybersecurity, engineering design, and medical tourism. With the right reforms, stronger trade agreements for digital services, large-scale skill development in AI-era competencies, and policies that encourage integration between services and industry, India can multiply its global services footprint and create millions of new jobs. India doesn't need to follow China's path. If China became the world's factory, India now has the chance to become the world's service hub, exporting talent, technology, and digital capability. Its success will depend on turning its young population into a skilled workforce and building a services ecosystem that can create mass employment. The last economic miracle was driven by assembly lines. The next, if India succeeds, will be powered by algorithms and globally connected digital talent.